What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Walkout Network. It's your man, Ant Walker, here with another edition of Unleash, the weekly panel discussion show. And as always, we have a fantastic panel. Let's go ahead and introduce our special guest this week. He is a writer at MMAfighting.com, also the paper champ of Between the Lines, my man, and my semi-professional rival, Jed Meshew. Jed, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I'm not even the paper champ anymore. I'm just not. I let that show be. I think I may show up again on Thursday to hand the business to someone like I've given you the business many times. But, you know, I'm just an all-around great guy. That's how you could introduce me. Just all-around great guy, Jed Meshew. But fine, I'll take it. Writer for MMA Fighting. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. It's very good to have you on, sir. And, we will rematch again at some point. And of course, we know the man who is here every week. He's the jack of all trades, who has mastered them all, the senior editor of Sherlock.com, Ben Duffy. Ben, what's going on, my man?
Hey, I'm doing well. I finished my Saturday night at an extremely quiet Toyota Center in Houston. Happy to talk a little bit about that as the show goes along. It was the second show in 3 months for Houston, which is pretty rare for a city not named Las Vegas to get, 2 pay-per-views in that short a span. It was kind of interesting as a test case for the UFC making more visits to the notoriously COVID lax Lone Star states. But they did pack the hall again. Like, it was a little late in going, but by the time the co-main event was up, that place was jammed. So I didn't stick around for the post-fight press conference and the gate numbers, but
you missed a lot. That post-fight press, heat was being thrown.
That's what I understand.
Fiery takes from Ciryl Gane.
And of course, every week the panel is anchored by the man with the stats, the facts, the figures, and the numbers. He is the associate editor of Sherlock.com and my good friend Jay Petrie. Jay, what's up?
I really, really want to talk about that whole Ciryl Gane thing, but there's just not a sexy enough stat that really jumps off the page for me. So our stat of the week this week is much sexier, and it's about Darce chokes or Brabo chokes or a bunch of other names if you'd like. Vicente Luque hit his 4th in the octagon. 4 Darce chokes back-to-back because he hit one on Tyron Woodley a few months ago. That's the most of any fighter that's ever fought in the UFC before. Tony Ferguson had 3, and they kind of shared that spot as Luque worked his way up. But hitting that Darce choke on Chiesa was very noteworthy because, it's a pretty impressive feat. And it's, we've only had like 30 Darce chokes in UFC history. So he's the king of the Darce.
Yeah, responsible for more than 10% of them. So that's what's up. All right. So we're definitely going to get into some fight talk today. But before we do that, remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell that friend to tell 10 more friends, and go ahead and check out our sponsor this week, sponsored by These Nuts. All right, let's go ahead and get into some talk here. We're going to talk about the main event of UFC 265. Ciryl Gane absolutely decimated Derrick Lewis to earn perhaps the most dubious interim heavyweight title of all time, or interim title period of all time. But it was a very impressive performance nonetheless. That win, Jed, I'm gonna kick it to you first. Does that change your opinion on the potential of Francis Ngannou's title reign, seeing that Gane will be next for him if all things fall into place?
It does, and it does pretty substantially. So I think many really thought Francis Ngannou was the next coming. The first time he fought Stipe, and then we all know what happened there. But this time came out, took care of business, and I was like, okay, Ngannou has it. Even at that point, I still was like, Ciryl Gane has something, but I think Ciryl Gane is going to be the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. He might not be it when they fight later this year. I assume that's the timeline. Like, the thing is, Ngannou is the biggest physical person I've ever seen in my life. And just like, he is the most powerful, most athletic, most freak of nature human that's probably ever competed in the sport. And that may be enough to carry him over Gane, like, right now. But in a couple of years, I don't think that that's going to be the case. Like, I basically just think that this is Ciryl Gane's division. It's just a matter of whether he gets it immediately or if he has a GSP like set back his first title shot and then gets it, you know, a couple years down the road. But super good performance from Gane, and yeah, that dude's a problem.
Jay, Ben, anybody want to jump out there with Jed and declare Ciryl Gane the ruler of the heavyweight division in the near future?
Well, I guess I could eat a lot of crow, because I was very, very clear about this matchup, and that it isn't just a puncher's chance for Derrick Lewis, because that's his whole career. That's what he does. There's no such thing as I'm just going to fall into the most knockouts in UFC history. That's not, it doesn't work like that for Derrick Lewis. He can close the distance. He can do things, and as Mr. Duffy said, forget everything you know about Derrick Lewis because of what he's capable of, what he has performed. So I looked at the betting line, and thought, oh my God, there's no way that Ciryl Gane should be a 4-1 favorite, and he fought like a 10-1 favorite. Like, Ciryl Gane impressed me in a way that I didn't think would happen to that degree. Like, we all were, the ones who thought Lewis would win, were pretty sure it'd be like, okay, he's going to be losing until he wins. I brought up the Volkov fight, that he might be losing 2.5 rounds, and then suddenly he finally lands that one. He finds the distance, he finds his range, lands that shot, and changes everything. Dude didn't even have a chance. And the leg kicks made him stop fighting. And it reminded me in a sad way, but a less dramatic way, of when Greg Hardy fought Yorgan De Castro. And De Castro, he had more moments than did Derrick Lewis in that fight, but De Castro simply shut down. That was it. And you knew when he came out of his corner, there's nothing he has to offer here. And by the third round, that was the case. And to the point about the title threat, I was on the wagon of, Ngannou's probably going to hold on to this title for a long time. I think they're even money right now. I believe I think it's like 110 to 110 or 115 to 105 for the betting on. So they're almost dead even for a Ciryl Gane and Ngannou match. That is crazy to me because of what we've seen Francis Ngannou do. But if Ciryl Gane can do that to Derrick Lewis, he can do that to Francis Ngannou. And that is fascinating to me. If he can get a guy like Derrick Lewis to stop and stare at the lights, and go, oh my God, what do I do here? And back up that way, I couldn't believe it. I was shocked in a way I didn't think I would be shocked. I learned something. And I didn't think I was going to learn anything. I thought we'd go, okay, Gane's safe. He'll go to whatever. No, man. Gane turned it up in a way I didn't know he was capable of. So, yeah, man, this changes my opinion on Ngannou as the champion until he decides he's done here.
Ben, all right.
Agreed. Count me in as well as with those who picked Lewis going into this one. And I knew it was a bit of a flyer, but just my thought was that Derrick Lewis, given what he's demonstrated himself capable of doing, shouldn't be a plus 350 underdog to anybody on the planet, like literally like no man in the world. On the Sherdog Radio preview, my step-in co-host, Lev Pizarski, who is a serious bettor,
he nailed it.
Completely disagreed with me. He's like, he should be a 6-1 underdog. Gane is going to dominate him from distance and probably even finish him in the first half of the fight. And damned if he wasn't right. It is 3 fights in a row now that Ciryl Gane, he's like a snake charmer or a hypnotist. He's taken some of the best strikers in the heavyweight division, 3 completely different good strikers, and just completely snake charmed them and left them like deer in headlights. All 3 guys just, for some strange reason, like start backing straight into the fence, stop throwing more than 5 strikes around, and just look terrified. It's incredible. And he was, against Lewis, those leg kicks, those were not pity pat leg kicks. They completely took Lewis out of his game quickly, compromised him, and really precipitated the finish. Then he started going to the body, where Lewis has always been a bit vulnerable, and then he started hitting him in the back of the head 15 times, which is a proven way to take out any man.
Man, that was that was a lot of shots in the back of the head there. But at that point, it really didn't matter. The way he just systematically just broke him down was incredible. And I feel like we all share a huge helping of crow from this main event. We had Aaron on last week.
Hey,
I don't think Jed knows.
I'm sitting right here. I didn't have shit to do with that. I never once thought Derrick Lewis was winning the fight. You can read anything I've written in the past week. I am stunned to hear that all of you did.
No, but it's the thing is, picking a Derrick Lewis fight is not a logical affair. Like, this is the same man who has absolutely decimated people when he wasn't supposed to. There's a guy who essentially has made a habit of proving martial arts to be completely fabricated and be completely a myth.
There is no BJJ on Derrick Lewis.
Yeah, he's done this time and time again. So I thought against a guy who was coming into his 10th MMA fight that he might be able to pull that same thing off.
You're just mistaken, because you think that he's invalidating martial arts, but he is actually validating the oldest and truest form of martial arts, being a big dude who hits hard. That is time immemorial. That has been the dominant martial arts on the planet. He's just doing that one.
Yeah, good point. That he's definitely got his 3rd degree black belt in that. Yeah. Like, he's I think a lot of I don't want to take anything away from Gane's performance, but I do think that stepping into his home crowd in Houston had him kind of frozen in spots. The pressure, I think, really got to him there. And inversely, like, Gane looks so incredible as far as his poise, as far as his discipline in those same odds. Like, he is going into enemy territory with the crowd booing him ferociously. 10th fight in his MMA career, and this guy goes in there and handles business the way he did with incredible poise. That's amazing to me, and that makes me kind of go into this whole Ngannou matchup thing, kind of thinking, I don't know what to think, because the scariest part about Ciryl Gane and Francis Ngannou is that these gentlemen are only going to get better. These are both very inexperienced guys who owe a large part of their success to just their natural athleticism. They are only technically going to improve. They're only going to get more experience. They're only going to get more reps in the gym. And I don't know what that finished product is going to look like when those two fight.
The sheer fight IQ and the way, and the almost the fight candor of Ciryl Gane was something you don't expect from a guy who started training MMA. I mean, he turned pro 3 years ago. He'd been training Muay Thai, and he fought back in like 2011 or 2013 or something. But less than a decade of martial arts training, period, the end. And he could have that kind of calm. That was the most interesting thing that I don't know how you could muster. It doesn't happen very often. The last real heavyweight time I can see that is when Stipe fought Ngannou the first time. He was never really flustered by the power. He got just out of the way. He ate a couple shots, but he didn't ever panic. And this Ciryl Gane that just kind of methodically chipped at Derrick Lewis and was calm and knew he had a game plan, and I'm not going to deviate. I'm not going to let him back himself off to the corner. There was a moment where I thought it was in the 3rd round when he hurt him and Derrick Lewis kind of turned away. And I thought, is this Lewis playing possum? Is he trying to do something? And you realize, oh no, his leg is actually really hurt, but he's also playing possum at the same time, which that's a very difficult thing to be hurt and fade back and go, I'm going to get you. But he didn't have the Scott Smith moment. He didn't have that, you're going to get me, you're trying to finish me off, gadoosh. He tried, but he couldn't. And that's a testament to Ciryl Gane with 10 pro MMA fights to not go, I'm about to be champion. I'm about to knock out Derrick Lewis in his home crowd. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. I got to get this done and go nuts. And he didn't. And that's, yeah, man. I shouldn't, I'm not much older than him. I'm only a few years older than Ciryl Gane, but the maturity of him, I am so impressed by.
Well, one thing I think we should cool our jets actually talking about a Gane and Ngannou matchup right now, because after the fight, and I think he said this even leading up to it, Ciryl Gane is intending to take a little bit of time off. He's expecting a new daughter in like a couple weeks or something like that, and he wants to spend some time being a dad.
So Stipe Miocic, John Jones for the interim title.
Exactly. I would not be shocked at all if we see another interim title. So
I would. Who the hell is you giving it to, man? John Jones didn't fight. Everybody give that dream up. Who you gonna give him? Stipe's gonna fight Augusto Sakai.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As long as they put a championship belt on the poster, that's all that the UFC seems to care about at this point. So it could be Augusto Sakai and Stipe for all we know.
Shamil Abdurakhimov, Chris Dawkins. Let's do this, baby.
Yeah, like that honestly is not out of the realm of possibility. But fellas, let's keep things pushing here. And Jed, I know you are going to do a backflip on this topic right here. And this is going to be our swing or miss. Jose Aldo, who had a very impressive win over Pedro Munhoz Saturday night. Is he a top 5 GOAT candidate for you?
Am I supposed to say if this is a swing or a miss? I'm not good at games. It's a miss because he is not a top 5 GOAT candidate. He is top 2. It is Jose Aldo and George St. Pierre. Those are your GOATs, and I'm not here to listen to any other argument. Like, I will fist fight whoever. He's the second best fighter of all time. Like, outside of the fact that let's be clear, that's true even if he retired tomorrow. Outside of what he's done at bantamweight, he's just stacking extra chips on his side of the table with everything he's doing at 135. This man is unbelievable. What he did Saturday is legitimately one of the most impressive things I have seen in the last 5 years in the sport. Like, I wrote about it today, actually, for MMAfighting.com. It should come out tomorrow. Fighters don't do what Jose Aldo did. Like, longtime champions, they have a style, and that style is their style, and that's what takes them to accolades and Hall of Fame. And when that style stops working for them because the game catches up, people plan for them, adjust, those fighters just kind of start falling off. Jose Aldo at 3 was like, hey, the metagame has shifted to be a much more volume-based striking. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut weight, despite historically having terrible issues making the 145 thing, go down to a division where people are faster and throw even more, and I'm suddenly just going to become a high-volume striker. He threw more strikes. I'm not the stats guy, so sorry if I'm stepping on you here, Jay, but he threw more punches, like more significant strikes than he ever had in a 3-round.
That's correct.
Like, that's unbelievable. And like, if you contrast him with somebody like Conor McGregor, who's going to go to the grave throwing that left hand, even though everyone, their mom, can see it coming at this point, like what Jose Aldo's doing is unbelievable. He's the best defensive fighter of all time by a large margin. And he's the second best fighter ever behind GSP.
I'd have to say he's probably the best body striker in MMA history. Yeah. I can't think of anyone else who can just dig a good liver shot in pretty much whenever he feels like it.
At will. That was the thing. It was when he wanted to. It wasn't a simple, I got 1 or 2 off. It's, I can do this whether you're coming forward, whether I'm back. I mean, yeah, let's see. He landed over 30 body shots.
Yeah. It got to a point where, like, I think I tweeted this out in real time. It was like he's treating Munhoz like a focus mitt. It got to a point where it's like his hands just started opening up and he couldn't miss. And there was literally nothing that Pedro could do in response.
Dude, he landed like 50 significant strikes in the final round, which, again, not the stats dude. That has to be the largest he's ever done by a lot. He hasn't thrown 50 strikes in a full 5-round fight before. Like, it's unreal.
And you think about the narrative that was surrounding him during his reign as featherweight. It was like, okay, well, if you push him in the early rounds, he'll fade toward the end. Yep. And we had like the Frankie Edgar fight, the first Edgar fight, at least the Mark Hominick fight, I think was used as evidence for that as well. Yep. That like, if you take him to the distance, you might have a chance because things are going to start to slow down. So he responds.
Both Holloway fights.
Yeah, both Holloway. Yes, but so his response is, okay, I'm going to go down with faster, more high volume people, and I'm going to outstrike them, being faster and more volume. It defies logic.
At 35, he is almost 35. This doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. Like, now, as far as GOAT conversations are concerned, he is certainly someone who is left off this list. He is someone that we need to be bringing up more. I think when at Body Lock, we did a thing where it was me, Pat O'J, Drake Riggs, and Matt Wells gave our top 5 GOATs, and none of us, I think maybe one person had Aldo as 5, but I actually kind of remember him being more like an honorable mention for all of us, and that's sort of that's sort of the disrespect, if you want to call it that Aldo receives. But at the same time, look at some of the other people and their accomplishments when you start talking about the top 5. I think my top 5 was rounded. I think my number 5 was either Daniel Cormier or Amanda Nunes. And what they have in common is multi-divisional championships. And that's the
you
one
did not
thing.
put Daniel Cormier above
Yes.
Jose Aldo.
Yeah,
What
I did.
is wrong with you?
I did because
It's on site, and if I am ever in LA, it is on site. I can't. Daniel Cormier is the like GOAT that people just like to say because it makes you feel warm inside, not because he actually is a GOAT. That's nonsense.
I don't have him in my top 10.
Yeah, that's fair.
I take a lot of stock into having multi-divisional success. If you've got a belt in 2 different weight classes, that puts you ahead of a lot of other people. It's hard to step over that achievement. The only person I think that stepped over that achievement, would be like John Jones, and
John Jones is trash.
And Anderson Silva, but he had success at light heavyweight. He did defeat a former champion.
He also had success at welterweight. Anderson Silva is fire.
Anderson Silva. Yeah. I didn't even factor in the welterweight, his welterweight run. But yeah, so that's why. But still, it's just we have a lot of great fighters, man. Top 5 is. I can get someone leaving Aldo out of their top 5, even though he's deserving of that and more.
I can't, and I don't accept it. He's the youngest champion in UFC history. Like, that is, nobody says it because it's John Jones. It's actually Jose Aldo. He was
of his WEC
before, but as the WEC champion, when Zuffa was just like, no, we're not going to bring this group in. Obviously, they just should have. He's the youngest champion in history. Fact is, 17 years into his MMA career, he's still doing this. Like, he's the man, and I won't have anybody say that he's not at minimum, top 5 all time. At absolute minimum.
He's in my top 10, put that out there. He's in my top 10.
Do you see, man, oof. I want to touch on a point that Jed made that really resonated with me, is that he is evolving, he's changing, he's learning, and he's succeeding at a new weight class he shouldn't be fighting at. Like this is the kind of thing. Like, remember when BJ Penn dropped down to featherweight and we're like, oh boy, this is going to work out just swimmingly for him. And every now and then fighters decide, I'm going to try and shake things up. Didn't Diego Sanchez drop down for a little while? It felt like an end of your career readjustment. But this is not a readjustment in terms of trying to say, well, maybe I'll get a new opponent, a better matchup. No, this is a guy who jumped into the Shark Tank of the division and said, let's do this thing now. And it's after a title run, and it is after a featherweight level of greatness where his legacy is already secured. Like, full stop. You could probably, if he retired after losing to, say, I don't know, Volkanovski or whatever, when he was going to be done with featherweight, you could have him there. But by doing what he's doing at bantamweight now, I would also argue he is improving his legacy as his career goes on. And that is so rare. That is incredibly rare. You have to go to like an Andrei Arlovski where you go, wow, he was done. We wrote him off. The ink was dry. The gravestone was already written. And then he kept on. And I mean, Arlovski obviously, changed and evolved as many times as his hairstyle. But Aldo at 135 is an actual contender now. And that is something I never would have expected from after what we saw at the end of his featherweight run.
You know who I blame for the disrespect? Because there's one man who deserves all the blame for the Aldo disrespect. It's John Anik. Because John Anik has just decided that and Joe Rogan have just decided that Max Holloway is the greatest featherweight of all time, which is just horseshit. He's just not. By any reasonable metric, he's not. And I think them saying that repeatedly, while both being stupid as hell, is also just it just erodes at the legacy of one of the 5 best fighters ever.
I keep hearing the argument, especially when AJ McKee was winning, about how Volkanovski is a potential greatest featherweight of all time, and I laughed out loud, and I laughed because I don't even think he's the best featherweight in the world right now, and he's a champion.
But you see, he defeated Max Holloway, who's the greatest featherweight of all time. So that's how it works.
Yeah, I do think that the commentary has. I mean, we've been on the show many times and just trashed a lot of the habits of the commentary team, and I think that's one that's worthy of lots of jeering. The idea that Max Holloway is the greatest featherweight of all time, while Jose Aldo exists, is just no. Like just not buying it. I'm comfortable you saying he's number 2 or 3 or something. I'm cool with that. But no, Aldo is the greatest featherweight of all time, bar none. And according to Jed, top 2 GOAT. And I'm not mad at that. I don't agree, but I'm not mad. It's one of those, and I know I've used this analogy before. That's like if you told me that Redman is the greatest rapper of all time. I don't agree, but I'm not going to argue with you.
You respect it.
Yeah. So that's where I'll leave that one as far as his GOAT status. But man, an impressive performance. And we'll have more on Aldo coming up for Shallow Cuts. Now, moving on to another Brazilian top contender, this time in the welterweight division, Vicente Luque, with a very impressive Darce choke, as Jay broke down the stats on that earlier in the show. Now with this win over Michael Chiesa, I mean, this is a guy who has been sort of left out of the welterweight title conversations, while Leon Edwards is floating around and keeps getting screwed over. We got Masvidal and Covington earning rematches that, and I say earning by air quotes, rematches. Vicente Luque has been left out of that conversation. Do you think now he is firmly in that discussion? Is he a true title contender in your eyes, gentlemen?
Well, you have to keep in mind that these decisions are being made, or at least heavily influenced, by someone in Dana White, who definitely likes the shiny new thing and is kind of impulsive and makes off-the-cuff decisions. I mean, I'll say this. He chalked up absolutely the best win and most impressive individual performance of his career on Saturday. Called out the champ, shot his shot, aimed for the stars. And when he left the cage, he had literally about a 2-minute conversation with Dana White at the bottom of the steps. The loud arena, so talking in your ear conversation. I think he may have jumped the line a bit in pretty much, I think, the hardest division in the UFC for a fighter to make his way into the top 15, then the top 10, then to a title shot. I it's a meaningless argument whether welterweight is the best division in the UFC or the best division in the sport, but it is the hardest one to crop up on the radar of the rankings. You look at the people who string together 5, 6, 7 wins in a row, and then one loss just sends them right back to the back of the line. And Luque was probably the ultimate exemplar of that. The guy is now 14-2 in the UFC, since his loss at the Tough finale. He's only lost to Leon Edwards and Stephen Thompson, and only now is it enough to actually, get him firmly into the rankings. He's definitely somebody who can beat anyone on any given night. I mean, I picked him to beat Chiesa, and I was terrified about 60 seconds into this fight. I was like, oh man, this pick is going to make me look really, really stupid. And then he pulled off something that, while it was dazzling, may not be replicable. If he and Chiesa fight 10 times, it does not end that way more than once. So even though it's an incredible win, it doesn't especially give me more confidence about how he would do against, the top 4 or 5 guys in the division, none of whom fight remotely like Chiesa. But I want to see it. I think he's earned his chance to take a shot. The resume he's building up in this division, the good guys that he's beaten, it's just unbelievable.
In your recap show, Duffy, you and Keith Schillen made a list of who is in line for a title shot. Obviously, Covington's next because he has he and Usman are locking horns, in November, I think, in MS. Well, actually, was it MSG or was it the MSG card that actually probably won't be in New York because of vaccinations? I think it's that event. Anyway, so Covington Usman is that thing they're doing. He and Luque and Burns won't fight, and Leon Edwards is there going, what more do I have to do? And I don't agree with what I'm saying here. Just to be clear, I don't personally agree with what I'm about to say. He jumped Leon Edwards with that win because the UFC wants the action fighter to go to the top. They want the violence. They want to show the highlights and go, oh my God, look at the crazy things they did. And the Diaz fight left them such a bad taste in their mouth because Edwards was in such big trouble. I think I said this on the broadcast that Edwards' stock went down with that win, even though he 49-46 Nate Diaz and had a bit of trouble, that Edwards actually lost his title shot by beating Nate Diaz like that. And that I hate it, but I know it to be true. I know it to be true because I know how the UFC is going to go. He absolutely bypassed the Stephen Thompson loss. There's no doubt about it because of how bad Wonder Boy looked against Gilbert Burns. So you can't. Wonder Boy fell really hard from that loss. So I really think that the UFC is going to probably have him on standby for that November event for a title shot. I could see that happening because otherwise he has to fight down the ladder. I don't want to see him fight. I am a Joe Silva homer. Winners fight winners. I don't want to see Luque on a good long finish streak take on a guy with 2 losses. I don't want to see him fight guys coming off losses. I don't want to see him go down what he's going to fight Bilal Muhammad again. That doesn't make sense. So he has to fight up, and there's not many other people he can fight. And I just feel like the UFC is going to bend over backwards to put Luque in a title shot over Edwards. And I disagree with it, but I don't know. Duffy, Jed, Ant, fix me. Am I wrong, or are we doomed?
You're so wrong.
Good, thank you.
Couldn't be more wrong.
One, so much better.
No, you're wrong for how you feel, not for what you're saying. Because no one should care about Leon Edwards. Like
this is not a safe place.
Woo! Leon Edwards sucks. I'm sorry. Like he's very good at fighting, but like be entertaining. That's on you, bro. You were boring against Nate Diaz, who's not hard to not be like boring against, and then almost got. Like, I'm sorry no one likes you, but if you look, I use this analogy a lot. If you wake up and you meet an asshole, well, you met an asshole. But if you wake up every day and you just meet assholes, you're an asshole. Leon Edwards, you wake up every day and nobody gives a shit about you. That's on you, bro. Like, that's on you. So I don't care at all if Leon Edwards gets jumped over. I'm hoping they pass over Colby Covington because they've done it to the man before. There is nobody on roster who can talk himself out of a title shot better than Colby Covington. And hell yeah, give me Luque Usman. I'd watch that all day. That's a dope fight, and it's what we should be hoping for because, one, no one wants good things to happen to Colby Covington anyway, and two, Luque's the man. Like, that fight's just awesome. So, yeah, you're not wrong for what you're saying. I think you're totally right with what you're saying. But you're wrong for how you feel because we should be wanting Luque the title challenger.
All right, I need to get Jed's address so I can send him a Just Bleed shirt.
No love. This is the non-Leon Edwards love show. I understand.
You know what? God damn it, Jed. I hate agreeing with you. I really hate agreeing with you. I'm not going to jump out there and say Leon Edwards sucks. I just think this is a byproduct of the entertainment aspect of the sport and not necessarily the sporting integrity that I hold near and dear to my heart. Leon Edwards should be in a title shot. However, I want Dana White and Sean Shelby and whoever else is making these decisions to take Colby Covington's bout agreement for 268 and put it in a shredder, and give Luque a call. This is what we want. This is what needs to happen.
They've done it before.
Yeah, let's stop fucking around here. Like,
and this is such an important thing. They haven't fought before. You know how hard that is to find these days? It's a rematch across the board for Usman. He's going to have the Stipe issue where he's fighting DC, he's fighting Ngannou, he's fighting DC, he's fighting, he's going to have that the Kane JDS Bigfoot Silva kind of mess that's going on, and I don't want that. I want to see him fight fresh faces. So I would be okay with the Luque fight, but I don't know. I mean, Leon Edwards is going to have to fight Masvidal again. 10 fight unbeaten streak versus a guy in a losing streak. Is that I still hold some faith. It's probably a mistaken faith that winners need to fight winners to work their way up the ladder, because otherwise it isn't about competition anymore. And I still have that 1% that it's not just edutainment or whatever the word is. It's not just based on Vince writing up the best storyline like Dana
edutainment said. That's like KRS-One. I think you're talking about like sports entertainment.
And what are you gonna do?
You know what I like about this show? You're just all optimists. Everybody's out here thinking Derrick Lewis can do it, and there's meritocracy in this sport.
Yes.
Look at you guys go.
Dude,
it's cute, isn't it?
Jed? Who hurt you?
I've been a fan of MMA for 20 years. That's what hurt me. I've been watching this sport for most of my damn life.
It's like,
but every now and then the good guy gets the shot he deserves, and that's where the hope I
like 3 times in the history of the sport.
Exactly.
In the history of the sport.
Come on, number 4.
Yeah. We'll get it.
Miesha Tate winning a title, that was like an all-time sports moment because of that. But that don't happen.
Holly Ronda is another one of those moments where you're like, okay, here we go. But yes, they are few and far between, and they renew my faith in good matches. Damn it, we're not.
I love optimism.
I'm just trying not to buy into the things I don't like about the direction the sport is headed. So I'm holding out hope. I'm like a backpack rapper, in the shiny suit era. That's essentially what I've become. All right, fellas, let's keep things moving here. We're going to jump into the segment known as Shallow Cuts. So we have a bank of 4 questions that will be asked today. Each person on the panel will have 1 minute to answer their assigned question, but we're going to give the guest of honor, Mr. Jed Meshew here, the honors of dishing out the questions. So Jed, who answers what questions? It's on you.
Oh, that's exciting. So should I just go with the top question in here? Who should the UFC match Jose Aldo up with next? Ant, I don't feel like you deserve this one. So let's go. Benjamin Duffy.
Yes, sir.
Who should the UFC match Jose Aldo up with next?
So the bell. I got a prep time on, and I screwed it up. There it is.
Nice.
I think you got 2 choices. If you want to make the fantasy legacy matchup, put him against Dominic Cruz. If you want to see if he really has one more title run in him at this point in his career, give him Rob Font. There, I got like 45 seconds left.
Oh wow, you got plenty of time. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop the clock.
Efficient.
You really don't want the Dillashaw fight?
No,
man, that's sitting there for me. I'm sitting there. I'm thinking that would be fun. And I still don't want Dillashaw to get the next. I don't want to step on your toes.
Dillashaw, he's a great fighter, and he looked great in his comeback, but he's just such an odious dude that
Man, you guys really are just the optimist podcast. You hate TJ Dillashaw. I love TJ Dillashaw. I want that man to get the belt. Steroids are okay.
And how do you not have Jones in your top 2?
Oh, because I think
that's why I would take it.
Oh, because light heavyweight is a garbage pile of a division, and all of his wins actually are horseshit.
But they're against they're against the top of the garbage, though. There's no one else he can fight.
Oh, I agree. He's the best light heavyweight of all time, but that's like being the best women's featherweight of all time. Sweet.
Shout out to Amanda Nunes, I guess, for like 4 fights in the division.
He's beat by number 5 go Daniel Cormier, and that counts for something.
It does. Those are the wins that count for something in his resume. He has 2 of them. Yeah.
All right, Jed. So next question, who answers?
All right. Second question. Did Angela Hill make herself look worse by claiming that Tecia Torres only beat her in the past because of their first fight was pre-USADA? Jay, let's fire that one off to you.
Well, it's really exciting when that came up, because there wasn't a lot of intrigue in their rematch besides like, okay, I guess we're doing this thing because they're the only ones that are around that have to take the fight. But then Angela Hill posted little things and Tecia called her out on it, and then suddenly it developed like a storyline that we're like, oh, okay, there's some history here. And then Angela Hill fought a perfect Angela Hill fight, but she got beaten across the board. And it was something I think that you, Ben, said on your review show. She never made any adjustments, anything that she could have done to possibly counter or change things up. She never took that step, and that worked to her undoing. And I think it did hurt Angela Hill, because she just said, you only beat me because you were on steroids. Well, she got the drug tested like crazy, and she got worked.
Dude, she is the female Phil Davis. If she loses the first round, I can turn the TV off, because I know exactly how the other two are going to look. She's not going to step on the gas any harder. She's not going to change anything. Just, yeah.
That was a good one, too. I was hoping Duffy would chime in there.
Nice.
Well done. All right, Jed, we got 2 more questions, and you and myself left. Who answers what?
That's a good question. I guess I'll take number 3. So you can intro that, Ant.
All right. So that question is, what are your thoughts on the Bellator announcement that Fedor Emelianenko is fighting Timothy Johnson in Moscow?
I really, really want to like Bellator. So do I. I watch their events. I try to stay up to date on what's going on with them. I try to shout them out when I can. Try to write about them when they do something that's necessary or semi-important. But man, they just suck at their job. Like, how do you make this fight with Fedor Emelianenko? Like, the dude, it's a retirement fight. One, you're giving him a big wrestler who's historically not a great matchup for Fedor. And 2, just a dude who's kind of not shot when Fedor clearly is shot. Do it in Moscow. Give him me. Let me fight Fedor in Moscow. That is much better matchmaking. I cannot believe Scott Coker is doing this. He had Josh Barnett right there. It's infuriating.
Yeah. I guess I'll take the last few seconds on the clock to just go ahead and second that. I mean, Josh Barnett, JDS, Alistair Overeem,
Anderson Silva.
That's the one I want. Anderson Silva and Fedor.
Weird
That's what I want.
That could
I was a
happen.
big supporter of the Andy fight too.
Yeah, it's like
Andy Silver. Whoo, that would have been heat.
It's like this is it. Like, how do you mess this up? How? And then especially to see Josh Barnett on Twitter saying, "Hey, I wanted this fight. I tried to get this fight, and for some reason they're not giving it to me." Like that just makes it even worse.
And they're going to be in Moscow. You know, they might bring Mike.
You don't have to worry about drug
They might bring Mike
there.
Mazzulli with them, but they're not going to be,
Yeah,
hardcore in the testing.
Yeah, come on now. Like, Barnett could have fought in this. All right. So, Jed, last question. Please read that off to me, sir.
Last question. Of all the places that Chad Mendes could go, did you expect it would be BKFC?
I'm so happy Ant has this question.
I know. That was really what I wanted.
No, not at all. This was the last thing I expected from Chad Mendes, a guy who hasn't been known to be like some electrifying striker. Like, I thought he'd be like doing some nature show on like a hunting channel, or like come out with his own line of beef jerky. Those are the things I envisioned Chad Mendes doing, not bare knuckle boxing. Now that he is doing it, I don't know, man. I like BKFC keeps putting me in this weird place where like I want to trash them so much. I want to trash their product. I want to burn that ring down and just piss on the arena. But man, I keep on looking like, okay, you got me this time. You got me this time. I'm watching. So I didn't want to see Chad Mendes in BKFC, but now I do, and that means I have a problem. So perhaps I need to go to some sort of therapy, because BKFC, you got my money again.
We're gonna get Chad Mendes versus Leonard Garcia. Can you believe that?
It's like, yo,
this is 2021. What have we done wrong?
Yeah, we just need Scott Harris to show up for that one. Oh God, man, what are we doing? All right, fellas, now let's move on to the segment that makes sure that we bring out all of our seasonings, your paprika, your cracked pepper, your seasoned salt, whatever you like to flavor your meat. Pause. Go ahead and break it out, because we're gonna ask the age-old question: how's Taste My Crow? Ben, how's Taste My Crow this week?
Oh man, I'm throwing some Mrs. Dash all over this 265 card. I already fessed up to how badly I read the Gane versus Lewis fight, so I'll leave that one be. We also already kind of gave plenty of love to Jose Aldo for doing the impossible, the improbable at this stage in his career. I am happy to be wrong about the Alonzo Menifield Ed Herman fight. Over the course of his kind of back-to-back losses to Devin Clark and Ovince St. Preux, the question that arose about Menifield was, and this was not answered when he destroyed Fabio Cherant in a minute 10 or whatever it was, does this guy have the wherewithal to beat a UFC quality light heavyweight that he can't just trash in 2 minutes? I thought Ed Herman was like a massive trap fight for Menifield, someone that might not go away in the first 2 minutes. And even though he is 10 years removed from his athletic prime, which is a term I have to put it in air quotes when referring to Ed Herman, he remains kind of nimble.
Did he ever have a prime?
That's what I'm saying. He was probably the slowest guy in his division when he was 31. Like,
he
let
was
alone
the
40.
slowest dude in the sport. Still is forever.
Yeah, he's like,
Forever.
and yet just keeps racking up the wins. He's like a male ginger Roxanne Modafferi. But I thought it was a massive trap fight. But Menifield, dude, forget all the 60-second knockouts, all the massive slams, all the the high amplitude highlight reel shit that you've seen from him. This was the best win of Alonzo Menifield's career, because this is what he needs to learn to do if he wants to actually take on some top 15 light heavyweights. I don't think he's quite there yet, even though that win over Paul Craig a couple years ago is definitely aging well in the time since. But this gave me some hope that Menifield can kind of learn to fight MMA. Like, he looked like a guy finally that is learning to win MMA fights, and not just blow people out. And as Jed pointed out, this is a dog shit division, and it's even especially dog shit right now, even by its usual standards. Like, all the names you think of in that division are old and have fought each other a ton of times. It's wide open up there. He only needs to string together a couple more, and we'll really get to see what he can do against some contenders. Maybe he can get a rematch with Paul Craig. I'd watch that. But yeah, I was dead wrong about this one. He made it look easy, and good for him.
It's sad state of affairs that the best, and I don't disagree, when the best win of your career is fat 40-year-old Ed Herman, and you are a prospect, like a legitimate prospect in the division. That division is garbage and should be closed.
This is up high on the list of the biggest gap in apparent athleticism between two fighters at the UFC level, like, ever. Like, you got a guy that looks like an NFL strong safety against 40-year-old Ed Herman.
Like the against the assistant coach, like that. That's really what it looked like.
The assistant coach who like has been smoking for like 20 years, and
or like just any Anthony Perosh fight. That's any one of those.
Perosh versus Crow Cop was, yeah.
I mean, granted, I shouldn't have been too shocked given that it was Menifield, but like the lack of fight IQ, like you've battered this man's leg. He can't stand up. First of all, Herman's corner letting him go out there to answer the bell for the third round was totally reckless and irresponsible. And the doctor giving that glance over as a head is growing out of his calf, and it's like, oh yeah, you're good to go back out there, have fun, and slaps him on the tail and encourages him to go out there. For you to batter someone's leg like that, and then the next thing you do is take them down. What are we doing? What are we doing?
He would not have earned a contract if he had done that on Dana White's Contender Series.
No,
because Dana's looking for killers.
Dana's looking for killers.
Yeah, you can't do that. Jed, how's Taste My Crow this week?
My crow, well, one, it's bland. I'm a white dude. I don't even know what these seasonings you were talking about are. I never heard of them. I don't use them. Don't need them. And my crow is about Michael Chiesa. Not that I thought he was going to win, because I super did not, because I have been strongly strongly of the opinion that he too is dog shit. I believe that I'm wrong now. I have not believed in his welterweight run. Carlos Condit is one of my favorite fighters ever, but dude's old. Diego Sanchez even older somehow. RDA past his prime. And then, he beat Neil Magny. Okay, Neil Magny's good at fighting. I got to give him that. But I still just didn't think Chiesa was like a legitimately talented welterweight. Mainly because he got beat a lot at lightweight. But I just forgot that lightweight is a better division. And so losing there, just not really a stain on your legacy at welterweight. And even in defeat, Chiesa was really close to finishing Luque, and I have a ton of respect for Vicente Luque. So I think I just gotta own it and say I'm wrong. Michael Chiesa is actually a good welterweight. And now I'm just gonna go to how the hell did he ever make 155? That dude's enormous.
Yeah. The first time I met him was like, yeah, this guy's not a lightweight.
Dude's enormous.
He's a huge guy, and I'm very surprised we got a glass half full take from Jed. You're becoming an optimist too on this podcast.
It's osmosis. You guys everybody's so positive. I can't sit here and talk to you about how 205 is the worst division ever. So I'll say that Michael Chiesa is not bad.
Hey,
baby steps. We're
baby
making
steps.
Progress. All right, Jay. Let me know, man. How's Taste My Crow this week?
Oof, man, I gotta put a lot of chimichurri on this one. This was not a pleasing moment because I'm about to break Jed's heart, or he will think of me very differently. I had Pedro Munhoz winning this fight going away because Munhoz has not only the deadly the volume, the pace, the pressure that makes a lot of people kind of have to reevaluate themselves. He mixes in leg kicks, and he has a crazy good chin. We have seen him hit as hard as a guy can hit you, just about, and he has walked it off. Like I can think of on the time, like on one hand, the times he's been even rocked. And this was a very good performance that he put on. He pressured Aldo. He matched him, and then Aldo did the thing I wouldn't have expected that he would do. In fact, I thought it would be the other way around. I thought in the third round, Munhoz would turn on the jets. Aldo would finally be taking a back step. He wouldn't be able to get kicks off, and this was just a very impressive performance. I am my stock. This is Jose Aldo, and his stock went up for me. That kind of performance did that for me. But I had Munhoz winning this fight by a thriller of a decision. However, I will take one win out of this because I very confidently claimed at the end of last week's show that Munhoz would outleg kick Aldo, and he did by a 4-1 clip. So I'll take that to the bank.
All right, not too bad there. I actually was thinking about this week, changing my portion from House Taste My Crow to talk your shit and give myself a lot of props for how Aldo beat Munhoz, because that's exactly how I said he would do it. But we've gone into a lot of
talk your shit, Ant. Let's go.
Come on, baby, let's do it.
If you want to negate forward pressure, body shots and leg kicks will get the job done, and that's what he did. Aldo also did an incredible job checking the calf kick. I know the calf kick is the mystical strike. It's like the mystical strike that no one seems to have figured out. Aldo checked it repeatedly and discouraged him from throwing it again, and then he implemented his game plan. That was beautiful, beautiful veteran work from Jose Aldo, and certainly one of his finest performances of the last 5 years. Easy. All right. So I guess for my actual House Taste My Crow, I'm going to go toward Rafael, Fiziev, and Bobby Green. I thought Fiziev would win this, or Fiziev, however you pronounce it. I always screw up pronunciations on the show. I thought he was going to win, and I thought that, but I thought if Bobby Green went in there and did his Bobby Green thing where he gets hit and taunts and doesn't throw much back and on, I thought that would be the recipe for disaster, that it would just go all downhill from there. He started doing that, and he started picking up the momentum, which was absolutely strange. I thought he would get steamrolled if he tried that against as Jay puts it, Fozzie Bear. So I'll eat that crow all day long. I'm always happy to see Bobby Green on his game and entertaining, so I'll take that with a smile.
And Joshua Ferraro, the judge that scored the third round for Fiziev over Bobby Green, didn't quite write up a mea culpa, but he did explain why he scored the round he did.
It's not a mea culpa at all.
And even though he's I acknowledge your feelings, but I disagree with them, which it's really strange to see that he came out and wrote a statement saying this is why I did it, but it'd still be wrong, like not subjectively wrong. But anyway,
he's a good ref. I can't defend, like he's a local guy here in Houston. I can't defend that card. You know, I'll probably see him at Fury in a couple weeks. I'll be like, JJ, what the fuck, dude?
He sure tried to. I just love that it never happens, but the very few times a judge ever does come out to talk about their cards, it's always like staunchly defending the most heinous horse shit and just digging in on it. It's like, you can just be like, yeah, I screwed that one up. Luckily, didn't affect anything. No, Fiziev won the third round. He sure didn't. He sure didn't.
They threw the same amount of strikes. Well, no, they didn't. And man. Like,
that was nuts.
I'll take a mea culpa. I scored the fight. I scored the Yadong Song Casey Kenny fight for Casey Kenny because I gave Casey Kenny the first 2 rounds, because even though he was getting outstruck by a surprisingly small margin, I thought that Kenny's strikes appeared more emphatic and impactful, I suppose is the word. There were more reactions, and if we're using the terminology by Ferraro, getting your head snapped back is an effective way to do it. When I rewatched the fight, I disagree with myself, and I scored the fight for Yadong Song 29-28. I still gave the first round to Casey Kenny, but sometimes you should be able to admit when you're wrong, and well, I guess we're baby steps.
Personal growth. I like it here on the Walkout Network. All right, so now that means it's time for the best titled segment in all of media history. I'm not surprised, Mr. Falcons. This is where we share something that surprised us or ironically did not over the past week. Jay, I'll begin with you. What's your I'm not surprised, Mr. Falcons moment this week?
So I'm going to leave the UFC for a little bit for a back-to-back pairing of stories over the span of about, 4 or 5 days or so. And yes, you can change your mind. You can change your opinion from 5 days after saying something. But to completely counter or contradict what you just said seems a little strange. So back at the Bellator event, Bellator 263, Patricio Pitbull got kicked in the head and then choked out. And he was upset at the stoppage. Okay, fine, I understand. I was actually one of the few people like, well, he didn't go out and he didn't tap. But that's not the point here. So McKee said, we're going to do it for the title. I want to do it for my lightweight title. McKee said he doesn't want to fight at featherweight anymore. Let's do it at lightweight. That was the first statement he said. It was shortly after the loss. Okay, that makes all the sense in the world. Bellator will want to do that. Let AJ McKee go for that belt. Try and take it from the guy he just beat. Okay. And then a couple days later, Pitbull does an interview where he says, I'm not so sure about doing that anymore. Now, I don't know what that means or why it changed his mind that way, but he, A, wants to fight at featherweight for his old belt. 2, he doesn't want to do it straight away. He doesn't want to have an immediate rematch. He said he wants, quote, let him break his body a little bit, training to make some 5-round camps. So Pitbull is wanting the immediate rematch, but also saying, no, maybe let him defend his title or whatever he wants to do. How you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I want him to fight for my belt and then say, well, hang on, I don't want to fight for that. I want him to fight at 145 against me, but I don't want that fight yet. So maybe interim title. I don't know what they're going to do, but there wasn't anything lost in translation. I mean, I don't know if it's the head trauma or something, because that seemed weird to me. So I am surprised, Mr. Falcons, that somebody didn't, like Eric Albarracin didn't go, hey, shut up. I got this. And do that dumb glasses with the chain and the other glasses and whatever.
Yeah, anyway. I was going to ask him, were his glasses fogging up or something?
He had 2 pairs of glasses on.
Okay. All right. All right, Jed, can you share with us your I'm not surprised, Mr. Falcons moment this week?
Well, you stepped on a little bit earlier, but I am not surprised at all that the low calf kick did not defeat Jose Aldo. I'm a little surprised that it didn't blow his leg right off his body, because it is an unstoppable menace that must be banned. But go check out Kaposa's Twitter. It's Grabaka Hitman, Grabaka_Hitman maybe. And you can just watch a lovely series of clips of Jose Aldo showing that the low calf kick is not real, is a fake weapon, and its existence is entirely predicated on everyone sucking at MMA. Fortunately, like 95% of fighters are very bad, but Jose Aldo is not. And so Jay hit us with the stats. I believe you, because it's hard to argue with numbers, but I would quibble with Aldo being out leg kicked 4-1, mainly because every single one of Munhoz's kicks was rejected in full. So it was really 3 leg kicks to 0 in the realms of how fighting works, because Jose Aldo's a genius and hero, and low calf kicks are very stupid. And the fact that people think like the teep to the knee before them, oh, this has to be banned. It doesn't. You just need to get good at fighting.
Get good.
Yeah, that calf kick, like my buddy who like my Muay Thai trainer, he, you know, we were like doing a little sparring and stuff, and going over that kick, and he just laughed. It's like this is the easiest thing to ever deal with. Like, you don't even have to pick your leg up. You barely have to turn your leg.
You're kicking into a check.
Yeah,
you're like kicking into a leg check. Like, it is the most insane thing to me that this is turned into like a very, very relevant offensive tactic. Like, man, people just don't practice defense like at all in MMA gyms.
Yeah, it's like all you got to do is just stand there and
turn a little bit.
Kick
turn
doesn't really do anything. So
yeah, they count
with your ankle.
Yeah, just like
they count the UFC, because UFC stats, who keeps track of the punch stats. I'm not that kind of stat guy. Counted all but 5 that he had thrown versus landed. So the check kicks that they still counted as he landed, because his shin struck the other leg, even though he was probably taking the worst of it.
Yeah, even though he's getting the worst of the.
Oh yeah.
So really, if we want to do it true math, Aldo outstruck him like 26-2 because Munhoz is
anti-leg kicks.
All right, Ben, you're up. Can you share with us your I'm not surprised Mr. Falcons moment this week?
Yeah, I've just got a quick one. You know, one of my favorite fighters who kind of has flown under the radar the last few years is Logan Storley, Bellator welterweight. I mean, the guy won his first 11 fights, arguably won every minute of every fight, you know, throughout that span. Ran into Yaroslav Amosov, and I mean, lost 2 rounds to 1. Just he finally ran into somebody that he couldn't effortlessly take down. But I mean, given how Amosov has looked since, and hell, Storley gave him a better fight than Douglas Lima did. You can make an argument that on talent, Storley's a top 15 quality welterweight. He is going to be fighting later this month Bellator debutant Dante Shiro, who's a 8-2 fighter whose best win is probably over UFC veteran Kenny Robertson, who walked away from the sport in like 2015 and just came back. If this is the best that Bellator can do for Storley, that's a serious problem. This guy is languishing. Like, when I first started working in MMA media professionally, I interviewed Logan Storley like 3 times over the span of a year and a half. And it was interesting to see kind of his transformation from, hey, you know, kind of wide-eyed company guy to being frustrated that he was essentially being put on hold while the welterweight Grand Prix went on, to like, really, it is a waste. I don't like, there are no odds up yet. I went and checked, but he's going to be like a minus 2,200 favorite over this guy. It like, seriously, is this the best Bellator can do for him? That's bad. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Like, that's bad. You know, he is a very, very good fighter. I'd love to see him at least fight some more of Bellator's best welterweights. Obviously, I'd love to see how he would do against some UFC welterweights, but he is languishing. And he's had one decent challenge in his career, you know, and it was Amosov. And that's it. And he's back to fighting, you know, 15-1 underdogs. Yuck.
Well, that's what Bellator does, though. I mean, who was the bartender that MVP fought after he got knocked out by Douglas Lima? That's kind of the game plan, is after a hyped guy loses embarrassingly or just plain loses, then it's back down to like 4 fights before you can get another legit fight. I don't understand that part of it.
Yeah, it's like we're making sure you get back in the win column. Like we're gonna
It
throw you in
is.
there
It's
with
like
against a dead body and
right.
do your thing. Yeah.
It's like, you know, I don't want to dump on boxing because I'm sure there's more to it, and Matt Hunter could help us with that. But, you know, think of the champions that lose their first fight and then fight. You're like, what? Why is Canelo fighting? Not Canelo, but why is this guy fighting that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why doesn't he fight Neiman Gracie? Why doesn't he fight, I don't know, Derek Anderson? Yeah.
See, I like the cut, like the drop back. I think it's good. The problem is they just do too much of it.
That's
like,
right.
In boxing, it makes all the sense in the world because they compete a lot more. Like you can get high level boxers fighting 4 or 5 times, especially when they're kind of in that middle to early stage of their career. Stoley's going to fight twice this year, so it's a little annoying to watch him fight somebody who's going to roll through. But like, I'm okay with prospect building. I just think you got to take it on a case by case. And Storley clearly, because he didn't. It's not like he got washed by Imosov, right?
Right.
Like I think he can. I agree. I think he can take somebody else. Totally fine with you doing it with MVP because MVP is not very good at fighting. So you gotta just have him fight bad people, so he can keep putting on highlights.
Then why not MVP versus Logan Storley?
The mismatch.
That's what I mean. I think that's great, but I don't think people who like MVP think that's great.
All right, fellas. So I'll go ahead and share my I'm not surprised Mr. Falcons moment this week. This comes courtesy of UFC's chief operating officer, Lawrence Epstein. In an interview that he did with Sportico last week, he was asked some questions about anti-piracy efforts and whatnot. And 2 things struck me in this. First, you know, if you've ever created content centered around mixed martial arts, like as a contributor for MMA On Point, know this all too well. The UFC will copyright strike anything that has anything on there. If you see highlights on Twitter, they'll try to copyright strike them and everything. Well, this was Epstein's response to that. He says, "We love our fans and want more fans. We're not trying to stop them from showing video of Conor or other fighters. We are going after the pirates. We are trying to stop illegal profiting and reselling of copyright material." Okay. Vanilla statement doesn't really prove true in practice. Try to make a highlight reel for YouTube and see where that gets you. But here is the quote that you guys are absolutely going to love. He says, "Every buy that's stolen is hurting McGregor and other fighters. This is not a victimless crime or one that just hurts the big corporation. It hurts the individual athletes. Remember, they have as short a window of life to monetize their athletic abilities and skills." To that, I say, to that heaping pile of audacity that I want to call something else, but my toddler is sitting in my lap, so I'll refrain from certain language.
Fuck. All the way
thank you for saying it for me, Ben. Cheyenne Buys and Sarah Alper didn't get pay-per-view points, so what's your excuse for them?
The audacity of bringing in the short window of time, that is really something special.
I mean, they weaponize that all the time.
Yes. Oh my God. Like,
they
know
they can wait out anybody on the other side of the table.
That's one of those things you don't say out loud if you're an MC. Like, you just let that sit.
They need to go to the school of self-awareness because that's just bad. Wow.
Awesome.
They just signed that like $100+ million crypto deal.
175, baby.
Absolutely many dollars going to the fighters.
They're getting zilch. And
think of the fighters.
You're getting an opportunity that they can sign individual deals with crypto.com. Because why wouldn't crypto.com want to sign deals with fighters?
This is a legitimate question, you guys. Have they actually done that yet? Like, because the UFC fighters have been forced to wear the chess pieces. Has crypto signed any deals with any fighters? I haven't heard of a single one yet.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. I feel like I had read somewhere that they were talking to somebody, but no, I mean nothing that I can pull definitively offhand.
Yeah, like you think Alex Caceres is getting a crypto deal? Like,
why buy the cow when the milk's free?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, we can have the whole league, or we can get these couple fight. No, we're good. We got the whole league for for cheap. So,
Like, imagine if NASCAR made the drivers wear those big advertised suits and said, "You're not making a penny of that." Yeah, it would go over well. Wow.
yeah, I mean, once again, we get into that
ugly chess piece, you know.
We get into that whole, because remember when the Reebok thing became official, and it was like, well, we don't want the fighters looking like billboards with all the ads and it looks unprofessional. But the octagon is littered with so many different logos,
core to the core.
Yeah, the official corn nut of the UFC, the official vodka, the official beer,
Howler Monkey or whatever that thing is,
protein snack, the official whatever, like tires, and like every product imaginable, the official of the UFC. Like they have separate, like 6 different separate beverage sponsorships,
dude. Like at 265 on Saturday, I saw hundreds of people in the stands wearing fucking Howler Head whiskey t-shirts. You are a bunch of fucking tools. Like, what is the matter with you? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you stupid, people?
I have seen humans wear proper 12 attire before, so.
But I understand why those people are tools. They're Irish.
Okay. Are they?
And I say that as a guy whose last name is W.
They're like Luis Pena is Italian. They're that kind of level.
Luigi Pena, he's a real boy.
Oh man, I just thought that was
wow.
Rich from the COO of the UFC. Like, just
oh man, I should have. Now that you said that, I should change mine. I should have said Dana's wonderful stance on vaccines and how they won't make fighters do anything that they're not comfortable putting in their bodies when they literally mandate what fighters can and can't use as performance-enhancing drugs.
Dude, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Jed. Because I had a tweet where I pointed the hypocrisy of that statement out, and there were so many dummies that just couldn't quite understand the correlation. So
I think like Dana defenders.
Oh man, God, the Dana cult is so strong. So let me. I'm wondering if I could pull it up really quickly here, because I do have this one buffoon that keeps jumping in my mentions. and so. Yeah, what a goofy dude. But anyway, basically the tweet was pointing out certain things that the UFC has taken liberty with fighters' bodies outside of their say. One being USADA, and specifically citing USADA showing up to the hospital as Uriah Faber is about to have his first child, and they're demanding a pee sample, like as his wife is in labor. He had no say in whether or not USADA had the right to do that. John Jones, who obviously has his own PD issues, was once put into the cage against Vitor Belfort, who had known to piss hot, but the organization kept it quiet and covered it up. He did not have the choice with his own body to fight someone who was enhanced or not. And that was something that the UFC knew about, decided to cover up. He didn't have a choice there. John Lineker also stated that he was forced to fight at flyweight. He thought he would have trouble making the weight and wanted to stick at bantamweight, and the UFC refused to oblige him for quite some time there. So those are just a few instances of the UFC deciding what's best for a fighter and their body. So yeah, I'm all against fighters just being told what to do without them having any say. But if you're going to do it anyway, maybe something that's for the betterment of society and health. And especially even just preserving your cards, preserving your talent. You know, I'm sure Chimaev and Garbrandt would have wished they had a vaccine at some point. So,
yeah, but then if they do that, then Dana won't get those fun questions at the presser asking how he's single-handedly saving society, because then he won't be saving society anymore.
God, I hate those questions. Did anybody ask one of those at the last presser? Because I tuned out for quite some time.
Oh, I fell asleep. That thing was boring as hell.
They actually didn't let many different people ask questions this time. There were a handful. There was that French guy. Or I believe he was French that talked trash to Derrick Lewis and said, "How are you going to feel losing to a Frenchman in your hometown?" And he's just like, "F you, man." But that's about it.
Oh man,
he said, "Pardon my French, F you." Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the sharper.
It was the
Derrick
only
Lewis
moment.
quotes right
It was
there.
the only thing of any merit.
I hate the pink suit ESPN guy. This is going to be the new thing, like confrontational questions at pressers. They're just going to be the new thing.
It's like the reporters on Rocky V.
Yeah,
like they were like yelling at what's the guy? Was it Herman Cain? Was the guy that was
Herman
supposed to fight Tommy
Cain.
Guns? And they were just like yelling a bunch of dumb questions to both of them. But anyway, let me stop before I go on my Rocky tangent, because I could go on forever. I mean, I named my son after a Rocky character. So let's keep it pushing here, because Bellator and the PFL are counter programming one another as the UFC takes the week off. Which one are we watching, fellas?
Neither, because I like myself. I value my time.
I kind of expected you to say that. Jay, I'm just going to assume that you're going to be doing play-by-play for one of these cards.
I am on my first vacation since I started working at Sherdog. So I am probably going to watch both of them do play-by-play and run all the Twitter and everything like that. No, man,
I better look at the schedule this week, because that means I'm probably doing play-by-play.
Well, I'm not going to watch the whole card. I will probably tune in to see Gegard Mousasi style on John Salter, because I think that's going to be entertaining as hell. I will probably have Rory McDonald, Ray Cooper, because that sounds like it just something silly is going to happen. But as for the actual sitting down to watch the whole card, that's what I have to do. I write the fight facts pieces for Sherdog, so I have to know the result of every fight and what's going on in the fight. I can't just look at Fight Finder and go, "Oh, he won by TKO punches in the third round." That doesn't mean anything. What happened? But I'm not going to do it this week, and it's going to feel so good.
Might I suggest you watch Suicide Squad instead?
I actually was going to ask that question at the end of the broadcast about Suicide Squad.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, we'll get. I mean, Suicide Squad is definitely a more fun topic than PFL Bellator this week. But let's just go
watch it though.
I don't know. It'll be really funny when John Salter beats Gegard Mousasi and Bellator continues having the worst year in the history of their organization. Because I can't think of a funnier thing. John Salter as a champion is the funniest thing in the world to me. There's like a 50-50 chance it happens.
Jordan Breen's story about meeting John Salter and his family is one of my top 5 favorite stories that I've ever heard about MMA. So John Salter, bless him and bless his wonderful Southern family.
So are we at least excited about the PFL main event, Roy McDonald and Ray Cooper? Is that something we're interested in?
Speaking of having the worst, dude, Bellator's year is nothing compared to the trash fire that has been PFL season this year. Like, every single thing that could possibly have gone wrong for them in terms of actual in-cage outcomes has gone wrong. So I fully expect, since this is probably the best fight they can put together, that something horrible is going to happen. It's going to just be a terrible fight, or it's going to end like by eye poke in 45 seconds, or like Ray Cooper's going to slip on a banana peel on the way to the cage. There's no possible way this will deliver, because that would be out of character for 2021 PFL.
Yeah, see, the thing about PFL is it's not a real organization. So Bellator is at least ostensibly a real MMA promotion. PFL is a regional promotion that has gotten on real television, and they've attracted names, but they're just not a real thing. I just don't believe in PFL at all. So when they do bad things, I expect that to happen. Bellator has at least normally had good stewardship, but this year has been dumpster fire.
All right. Hey, Jed, you're going to be eating your words when PFL is on pay-per-view. That's a real organization right there, buddy.
That is definitely where budding MMA organizations go to thrive, is behind a paywall.
Absolutely.
I think on at least
how that's worked for Bellator and Showtime move. All those viewers they got from McKee Pitbull, the biggest fight of the history of their organization.
God, they did swimmingly. I think at least 2 or 3 times in this show's history we have asked the question, is PFL going to have a next season? So don't worry.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, I guess Ben, sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes there.
Well, I was just gonna say, if they really are just like a money laundering scheme, then it's probably they're probably having their best year ever. They're like, we're laundering this money faster than like
Look at all that money we paid to Fabrizio Verdum. He fought once. What an idiot!
It's like the producers. They're just they want to fail. It's built to fail.
So next year they're going to be $1 million prizes for everyone, whether you win the tournament or not.
You sign a contract, $1 million.
Yeah. Wash that drug money. Wash it good.
I'm just picturing the scene in Goodfellas where they're like, getting ready to burn the place down. Like, after they can't borrow another dollar, they can't get another case of whiskey.
All right, so obviously, I mean, we're gonna be tuning in somewhat to something, probably. I mean, just by the nature of our jobs, we're gonna have to look at something. But what are we gonna do with the extra time? Because this isn't a weekend packed with MMA from start to finish. So, any plans?
Gonna watch Pride 2.
Oh no! God bless you and Akira Shoji. Oh no!
I knew that one would work.
Oh, that's like a dagger in my heart.
Yeah.
A really, really slow dagger. Just
man! But it doesn't get the job done, and it just stops right here, and it's a tie.
True story. One time on the Sherdog Radio Network, Jordan Breen on his show was talking about Pride 2 and was like, I will give to anyone who goes back and watches the main event of Pride 2, I will give you an item out of my personal collection. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm doing that. Why not? This will be awful. And then did it and wrote him an email. Man was good to his word.
When was that?
Oh, I don't know. It was like 8 years ago, probably. It was a while ago.
Yeah,
8 years maybe as much, but it was a while back.
I remember him because when I was co-hosting that show, I remember him saying something like that. So I might have been co-hosting that particular show.
It was about 2016 or so.
Okay,
because he had talked about a couple of just like. Well, I think he had talked about rewatching Severn Shamrock 2 or something, and just some of the most unwatchable fights in the
God.
Yep, I remember that one.
And he was just like, you go back and watch. And it was like, I was listening. It was like, sure, why not burn an hour of my life? And I did it. It was awesome.
All right.
Oh, there's just so much Gracie. Do you remember what he sent you?
No, he offered to send me something, and I was like, I don't want to give you my address. I don't know you.
You already gave me a gift of watching Pride 2. You don't need to do more than that.
But I appreciate that you would have done it.
Yeah, I know SRN was notorious for not sending out gifts when listeners won stuff. So I'm glad at least the offer was extended to you, Jed.
Yeah.
So Jed, I'd say definitely watch Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
I watched it yesterday. It was highly inappropriate and perfect.
Do you have to have seen most of the DCEU to catch? Like, is it like in the storyline or
no? It's a total standalone. Like they make reference to like a couple of things that happened in DC, but nothing major that
like
matters.
I don't have to
all.
watch Shazam or whatever.
No. But you should watch Shazam.
Oh,
really?
Shazam is dope. Yeah.
Shazam and the original Wonder Woman are the only ones that are good.
Like so DCEU, Man of Steel, I think is the best movie that they did. So
wait, time out. Really? I have seen that one.
Yeah, Man of Steel. Man of Steel is my favorite DCEU movie.
He killed the guy. He killed like 5,000 people.
Yeah, shit happens.
He killed a lot of people.
Yeah,
they just don't show those ones.
Yeah. Like I got Man of Steel, and then Shazam, then the first Wonder Woman as my top three.
What about the director's cut, the big 7-hour edition?
That was good. I didn't even rank that one, but it was good. Yeah, the Snyder cut Justice League was
awful. It's so bad, man.
I loved it.
7 hours long.
I was high as a kite when I watched it. So
you're already at a higher level than we could possibly reach.
Oh God, it was fantastic. Just one edible, I was there.
I actually bet that is true because it is a really pretty film. Because Zack Snyder is a cinematographer. He's not a director. He's a cinematographer.
Oh, did you see Army of the Dead?
No.
Yeah, that was dope. Definitely recommend that one on Netflix. So yeah, so I got some streaming stuff to catch up with this weekend. So I'll be doing that instead of watching the UFC. But fellas, I think that'll do it for this edition of Unleashed. You can check out Jed on MMAfighting.com. Of course, Ben and Jay, you can find them on Sherdog. You can find me on MMA On Point and the Body Lock. So remember, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell that friend to tell 10 more friends. And stay beautiful, stay positive, Stay sexy. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.